Watching Prime Morning, it's time we talk about COVID, and now it's on the rise again. There are people who are getting it, and what can we do to curb it again? Some time ago, the government went on a lockdown. We had to adhere to some protocols. Not too long ago, the protocols were lifted. We had some ease. Let me put it like that. Not completely lifted, but we had some ease. And now the numbers are back. They are increasing. So we need to talk about it and see how best we can protect ourselves. We are talking to Dr. Emmanuel Adepa Adapo. He's a medical officer and member of the COVID-19 management team at GAR. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. Let's talk about the numbers, first of all, because when we talk about COVID, I think almost everybody knows what COVID is. But it's getting scary. What are the numbers we are recording now?
We have about 501 active cases and 54 new cases. So the difference is the new cases are just the new cases, new infections that we are getting. But the active cases are, I'll say, the prevalence in the...
When we talk about the new cases were recorded when? Today or yesterday?
Yes, so as of yesterday, the new cases nationwide add up to about 54.
What are we doing wrong?
I'll say a lot of us misconstrued what the president said, you know, and the media have also not helped us that much because we took the president's statement of the masking up is no longer mandatory to mean that it has completely ended. That way, a lot of people, even going into meetings that will last more than 15 minutes, closed door meetings, did not consider the masking anymore. But this is a pandemic, and just like you will say, once the best or kung fu comes around and is preparing the potion for you, Edrobian Kadem. When public health speaks in a pandemic, every other knowledge should begin to listen, because if we had taken time to probe what the president said, because if you realize, you would see that immediately the president made a statement, the Ghana Health Service came to clarify that coming to hospitals, going to places, the masking should still continue. But we didn't take that seriously. We didn't ask the public health people to further explain what the president said.
And even the social distancing
social distancing has stopped. You know, transactions have gone on, you know, sometimes in places with careless abandon. And therefore, Omicron is such that because it's upper respiratory, most of the symptoms are upper respiratory, you are not going to be having the severe symptoms. Now, vaccine uptake is also increasing a bit. So generally, the infection rate is milder. But we are beginning to see severe cases because there are mutations in the Omicron. And therefore, these new mutations coming up have become a bit more infectious.
We heard about 2 new mutations that have been discovered in Ghana. Is it only Ghana or is it worldwide?
No, it's worldwide. Actually, now about 90% of the cases out of the 501 cases, close to 90% are in Greater Accra alone. And that's a bit worrying because of how concentrated the ports of entry are into the region. Therefore, many of the people have been returnees and all that. And so this is the trend.
With the mutations that have been discovered, are they deadly? Because people are of the opinion that Omicron was not that deadly, but it looks like the new mutations are a bit scarier.
So far, we've not recorded any deaths with I mean, the onset of the Omicron. And therefore, I wouldn't say it's deadlier, but it's more infectious. The reason is upper respiratory infections, and especially considering the season in which we are in the rainy season, the temperatures are a bit colder, and therefore it's also the flu season generally. So that's what it's going to be. Remember, there are many coronaviruses which cause flu infections. So this is almost no different from the rest. But I am not scared about the infections. Neither am I scared about the hospitalizations. I am scared about the post-COVID complications that can arise.
Let's talk about the post-COVID complications. What are some of the post-COVID complications to look out for?
Well, it's head to toe. And I'll say head. COVID can cause a stroke post-COVID, respiratory distress, respiratory, conditions that may lead the person to be on oxygen even for the rest of his or her life. COVID can cause what we call pulmonary embolism. So in the vessels, you have some clots forming in the vessels. COVID may cause kidney failure. COVID may cause heart problems. COVID can cause generally, what we call poor quality of life at the end of the day.
Does this happen if not treated early?
That is the price to pay, especially for a viral infection like this. Yes, and because it's like a flu now, many people don't even, that flu symptoms you're having may be COVID, but a lot of people do not, usually take it for granted because you are not having that respiratory distress from the beginning. You are no longer having the lack of the sense of smell and lack of the sense of taste that the Delta brought along. And so a lot of people even come to the hospital close to the end of the incubation period or close to the end of the season of isolation. And that way you may still test positive. But if your cycle threshold is high, you are as well as good to be discharged. Okay,
all right. So it's those that, are highly affected. They are the ones who stand a chance of, getting this whole post-COVID issues, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now let's talk about the vaccination. Do we have a lot of people taking vaccines?
I wouldn't say we have a lot of them thronging the various centers. But what I'll say is the innovation that the Ghana Health Service has put across is that we are taking the vaccines to the doorsteps of the people. And therefore, corporate organizations, organized bodies, religious organizations who just call and say, we want to organize you to come, we are doing that on a daily basis.
Okay.
But what I can also say is that all the vaccines that we have approved of are in the system now, and you only need to go to your closest health center or a regional hospital. I can say for sure, anybody who would want to come to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, you can come any day, anytime.
And it's free of charge.
It's free of charge.
Okay, right. Thank you so much for being here. We are super grateful. Before you leave, please touch on the protocols quickly before we go.
Well, I usually say this that should keep ringing in the minds of the people. Woman, avoid touching men. Now, the woman is an acronym that I have put together. W is wash your hands, and washing of hands, there's a way of doing it for at least 20 seconds. Washing thoroughly with soap and water. Soap and running water. The O is observe the social distancing. The M is mask up. Always mask up when you're not in an open environment, and you're going to be in a meeting that is longer than 15 minutes. Then A, avoid crowded places, avoid overcrowded places. Then the N happens to be never forget your hand sanitizer. So avoid touching. The men is your mouth. If your hands are not sanitized, don't touch your mouth, because these are the portals of entry of introducing the virus. The E is your eyes, and the N is your nose.
Thank you so much for being here. We are super grateful. Women, avoid touching your men. And we've been speaking to Dr. Emmanuel Adepa Adapo, who is a medical officer and a member of the COVID-19 management team of GARH. Thank you so much for being here once again. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we are delving into the conversation of You Start. Is this the solution to unemployment? Stay with us.